All right, enough silliness for now. Let's get serious and talk about this thing. This is the GUNT WL 110. This is the unit you're going to be using for your heat exchanger laboratory in the heat and mass transfer class, ENSC 3007. So on this unit, on the right-hand side, we have a water tank with a heater in it. That's going to be our hot water supply. Let's take a closer look at that now. So here I'll lift up the cover, and there you can see the water inside. Down at the bottom, what you see is the heating element. This brassy looking bar is the temperature probe, and that black thing is the low water indicator. So if the water level drops, that thing will let us know there's not enough water in the tank. That water is going to be pumped through the heat exchanger, through this set of hoses. We've also got some hoses for the cooling water supply and return. Down here next to where the hoses come out, we have our flow controls. So these hoses over on the right-hand side, this is the cold water coming in at the top and returning on the bottom. On the left-hand side, that's the hot water coming out of the tank on the top and leaving on the bottom back to the tank. These two blue knobs in the middle, those are the flow control valves, and these wires you see are running to the temperature probes at each of the quick connects that are mounted on the heat exchanger unit. Over here we have the heater control, so you can set how hot this water is going to be. So here's the switch for turning that heater on. And then here, by pressing the little arrows up or down, you change the set point temperature, and the heater will then try to match that by either turning on or turning off. Just below the heater control, we have the hot water pump on-off switch. And just below the pump switch, we have the main power. And right next to that, there's a display panel, and that'll show us the temperatures and the flow rates in the system. So these numbers up at the top, these are all related to the hot water side of the system. The numbers on the bottom are to do with the cold water side, and you'll see we don't have a T2 or a T5 value, as those sensors aren't present in our setup. Over here we have our computer integration. That's for data acquisition. So later, all the data you take during the lab, you're going to be able to output and then later import into Excel and analyze it, and that should be really easy, and we'll have another video showing how to do that. Right here is where you're going to mount the heat exchanger units. At the moment we have the plate type heat exchanger, but we're also going to make use of a shell and tube heat exchanger unit. So let's take a look at how the water lines connect to the heat exchanger unit. So all of the hoses have quick connects at the ends. There are matching couplers on the heat exchangers, and so they just press on, or you pull the little collar up and they pop back off. All right, now that we've got this set up and running, let's take a look at the software and see how that works. On the computer, we're going to look for the GUNT group of programs. And we find this one called WL 110. Now the first thing we're going to do is change the heat exchanger type. So we're going to use the plate type for this one. And then we need to change the flow type to counter current. On this next screen, you can see there are values that aren't being displayed on the bottom. So go up to View and uncheck this thing that says Hide Selected Values. Now we go to the chart recorder, and we'll see as time goes by, all of our values are being recorded here. After you've recorded about 5 or 6 minutes worth of data, we're going to come back to the chart recorder and pause this data recording. And now we're going to actually save this file. So first, give your file some description so you know what it is. In this case, I had it at 60 degrees C for the hot water temperature. I was running at 1 liter per minute as the flow rate, and I had the plate type heat exchanger mounted. Once you've made your comment, then you have the option to say where to save the file, and so just give it a descriptive name so you know what it is later when you're looking through all the files on your USB drive. Once you've saved the file, you should exit the software, because every time the software starts, it starts a new file, and that's what we want, is to create 5 different files for each of our 5 experimental runs.